cost of one drive-through order, we're making an entire month of breakfast freezer meals. Yep, without the preservatives, mystery ingredients, and these meals are still cheaper than the freezer meals that you'll find at the grocery store. Because mornings are busy. You're juggling work, kids, errands, and trying to get out the door with something to fuel you besides coffee. And that's why having breakfast ready to go is a game changer. So in this video, I'm showing you how to batch cook 7 real food freezer meals that save you time, energy, and money. And your only task is to mentally check off which one of these recipes you want to try. And when you do, you can print the free recipe cards that come with this video. Now, these recipes cover the full range of taste, from super health freak to downright indulgent, because it's nice to have options. So grab your baking dishes and your freezer tins and let's get going. This is one of those recipes where you barely have to measure, you don't have to thaw anything out, and it comes out looking like you put way more effort into it than you did. And it's healthy, high fiber, and delish. My kind of dish. So you want to start with a bag of mixed berries. And before you ask, no, you don't have to thaw them out. We're gonna let the oven do all the work. Remember, this is a low effort, high reward kind of recipe. Now a little, and I do mean little sugar, helps to bring out the juices while they bake. But honestly, the berries do most of the work. Your frozen fruit is the real MVP here. Now we're gonna make a savory crumble topping, and you're going to need unsalted butter, pistachios, and flour. I'm using a combination of sprouted whole wheat flour and sprouted spelt. And doing that just gives me a denser nutrient profile, and sprouted flours are easier to digest. Wait, I don't think I said sugar, and you're definitely gonna need a bit of that. Just like that, you have crumbles. Now grab your pistachios. Not only are they going to add this incredible nutty crunch, but they also have some impressive health benefits, and they're going to turn your crumble green, and everybody thinks that's fancy. So as it turns out, pistachios are great for lowering your blood sugar. I just want to give you a quick reminder not to overpulse it, because you want pistachio chunks like this, not pistachio powder. And now you're gonna blanket your berries in your pistachio crumble. Now we're gonna place our pans in the oven for about a half hour. Now this is the part where you could decide how indulgent you want to be. Do you want to doll it with Greek yogurt to make yourself feel virtuous? Or creme fraiche if you're feeling fancy? Or just give in and drown it with ice cream? So I'm going to go with creme fraiche, which is basically just cultured cream, and it contains probiotics. It is so decadent and perfect for this recipe. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in and get ready to eat this. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. The berries are warm and jammy, and the topping is buttery and crisp, and the pistachios are crunchy, nutty perfection. Okay, I'm gonna need a moment. Wait, keto and cookies can be in the same sentence? Yes, ma'am. Here's how. First, we're gonna swap traditional eggs for a chia egg, which is just chia seeds and water. You're gonna give it a few minutes and it'll turn into a thick gel that helps to bind everything together. Meanwhile, in a big bowl, you're gonna mix up your dry ingredients. Coconut flour for structure, almond flour for chew, shredded coconut for a bit of texture, and then ground flax seeds for those healthy fats, and then a little bit of baking soda and cinnamon for lift and warmth. In a separate bowl, you're going to blend almond butter, some softened coconut oil, some sweetener. This is an allulose blend that is like a keto sugar. And then you're going to take that chia gel and stir everything together. And once that's smooth, you're going to pour it into the dry mix and then stir everything together. And then fold in the most important ingredient, the chocolate chips. These are keto, no sugar added chocolate chips, and they are delicious. Fold your chocolate chips in, and then you're going to cover and chill the dough for about an hour. And this just helps the flavors to meld. When you're ready to bake, you're going to preheat your oven to 350 and then line a baking sheet. And you're just going to roll the dough into balls like so. Then take the palm of your hand and press your balls into cooking shapes. And you're going to bake them for about 15 minutes, but just keep an eye on things depending on your oven. But you're looking for the edges to just set. Now this recipe stores nicely in the freezer for months, so I'm just bagging the rest of that to put in the freezer.
And there you have it, keto breakfast cookies that taste like a treat but fuel your body like real food should. And also, you don't have to use chocolate chips. You can get wild with nuts, seeds, or even dried fruit. Either way, you'll be glad to have these in your meal prep routine.
All right, so for this next recipe, we are making the ultimate breakfast casserole. It's hearty, cheesy, with sausage, and it's sitting on this fluffy cornbread base. And yeah, it is definitely as good as it sounds. Now, I think this recipe is perfect for meal prep, holiday mornings, or anytime you need to feed a crowd, but you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. We're gonna start by adding a blend of onions and peppers to a pan. And now we're gonna add our breakfast sausage. So while that's cooking, we're gonna grate our cheese, and I'm just using this little dish that has a grater that's built into the lid. And I'm using 8 ounces of mild and sharp cheese. It's my preference to get the block cheese just because you get more for your money. So here's where this recipe gets downright fun because you get to use cornbread. It does not have to be fresh. In fact, it can even be 2 to 3 days old and super crunchy, which is kind of what you want. So last night, I just made an extra batch of cornbread for dinner because I knew I was going to be making this recipe today. And so, yeah, we're just going to take our cornbread and you're going to create a layer that takes up half of your pan. And you want it just like this, kind of in those crumbly chunks. And next, we're going to ladle the sausage mixture on top. This is where the meal gets dangerous because everything is fully cooked and you just want to like pop little bits of this into your mouth. And then the last step is to take an egg milk mixture and we're going to pour this on top of our casseroles. Now, this mixture is basically the magic sauce that turns the cornbread and sausage into this soft, cheesy, golden breakfast dream. And now we top with the cheese. Lots of cheese. Let's pop these in the oven. I cannot wait to eat this. I am telling you, the prerequisite for this meal is the messier it looks, the better it tastes. Oh my goodness, you've got the cheese, you've got the cornbread, you've got the sausage and the onions and the peppers. Like I said, this recipe is meant to feed a crowd and fill a tummy. It is just, it's so delicious. If this is our first time meeting, hi, I'm Cassandra from the blog becomingafarmgirl.com, and I share ways to cope with what's on sale and season and better yet, already on your shelf. And over on becomingafarmgirl.com, you're going to find more ways to make your kitchen work for you, whether you have a homestead or a high-rise. Apartment, that is. And if you're interested in downloading the free recipe cards, you'll find them linked in the pinned comment or in the description box below. And if you've already subscribed to the grocery guide, the recipe cards are already in your inbox. As a reminder, I've put together a full blog post with this video, so if you ever want to find anything, you can check it out over there. Now we're going to make baked oatmeal, a recipe that feels like a warm hug, but is actually as nutritious as a green smoothie. But don't worry, there are no sad diet vibes here. This is a delicious, naturally sweet make-ahead breakfast that is what happens when a bowl of oatmeal and banana bread collide. We're actually going to sneak in a ton of benefits into something that looks and tastes like dessert, but for breakfast. You're going to need to start with some really ripe bananas. And not only is this adding sweetness so we can use less sugar, but it's also adding in potassium, fiber, and a prebiotic. And we know how important probiotics are to keeping your gut happy, but actually the less ripe your bananas are, the more prebiotic effect you get. But if you don't have bananas, you can substitute applesauce or Greek yogurt because you just need something that's going to add a little bit of moisture and sweetness. And then I'm just going to use a little potato masher. Next, we're going to add in milk, which provides calcium and protein. Plus, it keeps the oats soft and creamy instead of dry. And next, we're going to add in eggs, which are a complete protein powerhouse. And we're adding eggs because that's what's going to bind everything together. And this meal will also keep you feeling fuller for longer thanks for the choline, which is also excellent for supporting brain health. Now, instead of refined sugar, we're going to use maple syrup, which still contains minerals and antioxidants like zinc and magnesium. And zinc and magnesium are excellent at combating inflammation. And a fun fact, maple syrup contains over 24 different antioxidants. And it just tastes great. All right, so let's whisk this together. Now we're going to add in cinnamon, which is loaded with antioxidants and is excellent at regulating your blood sugar. Next, you're going to want to add a little bit of salt, just a little bit, like that, because the only reason that you're adding it is to enhance the flavor and to balance out the sweetness. And now we're going to add some baking powder. You want to make sure that it's aluminum free so that you don't get that metallic taste. And the baking powder makes the texture lighter and fluffier instead of dense. This next ingredient is totally optional, but I like the way that maple sugar and vanilla kind of play off of each other. So I'm going to add a splash of that. And let's go ahead and give that a mix. And now for the main event, the oats, which are a fiber powerhouse. And oats keep you full for hours. They support digestion, and they even lower your cholesterol. So we're done. I know that some of y'all thought that this was going on the stovetop. Nope, not at all. It's a one dish kind of like recipe. And normally, if I wasn't putting this into disposable containers, I would be making this entire recipe just straight in my Dutch oven. But at this step, you can go ahead and add in fresh or frozen fruit. But because I have so much like canned fruit and other toppings that I like to switch things up, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it plain. But let's go ahead and pour this into our pans. So as you can see, this is still super moist, but it still has that nice kind of crust topping. It smells exactly like banana bread. Let's go ahead and take a bite. So good. Now here's a tasty twist on potatoes O'Brien you'll love. So I like to swap regular potatoes for sweet potatoes because they're loaded with beta carotene, fiber, and they're a slower burning carb, which gives you steady energy instead of that mid-morning crash. They're also going to add a natural sweetness that balances perfectly with the savory sausage and eggs. After the sweet potatoes are diced, I hit them with a little bit of avocado oil and then a couple spoonfuls of minced garlic and a heavy sprinkle of rosemary. And then in my largest cast iron skillet over medium heat, I just place them in the oven for like 400 degrees, maybe about 30 minutes. Next, I top that with some ground sausage that I had going, and then I used the same pan to scramble some eggs, and then I added that to the top, sprinkled with cheddar cheese, and then baked it for just like a couple more minutes so that everything could just meld together. And then you have this nutritionally dense, very filling skillet. I mean, look at this meal. I'm going to top it with some creme fraiche, and let me tell you, this is delicious. All right, so this next recipe is for those of y'all that are on Team Grits. I love grits. And so this is a rendition of a copycat recipe that I am trying to create from a restaurant that one of my dad's friends and I, like we'd all gone out after we had gone fishing. And we went to this restaurant that I think is called Four Rivers. And on the menu, they had baked grits. And I was like, what? Like I had never heard of that. And I got them and they were delicious. But I loved how it's like grits in cornbread form. Come on now. And so I have created a recipe that I think is very similar to that. Not exactly, but again, I'm always going to work with the ingredients that I have on hand. So the next time I have like different combinations, I'll try things. But again, if you are a grits fan, you are going to love this recipe. Now these grits are savory, so you've got to cook them in chicken broth. And speaking of grits, you want to use stone ground grits only, none of the instant stuff. Season with just a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you're going to allow this to simmer covered until the grits soak up most of that chicken broth. You want the texture of the grits to look something like this. Then you'll add in sharp cheddar cheese, butter, and cream cheese. Season with a bit of garlic powder and let all that creamy goodness seep into the grits. In a separate bowl, you're going to need to beat 2 eggs because this helps the grits to set up beautifully when they're baked, but they need to be tempered first. And you do this by adding some of the grits to the egg mix and then to the main pan. Speaking of the main pan, oh my goodness, look at how creamy these grits are. All right, so here we are adding the rest of the egg mixture. And then you're just gonna add like a little dollop of milk at this point if you wanna make things even a little bit more creamier.
So you're going to stir, well, I guess richer would be a better word. Anyways, now we're gonna go ahead and butter our baking dish. Then you're gonna pour in your creamy, truly decadent grits. Then you're gonna bake this uncovered for 30 to 35 minutes or until the edges are set and the top is lightly golden. Now, ideally, you want this recipe to cool all the way down so that you can slice it like a cake. Now, you could eat this straight from the dish, no judgment, but I love serving it with crispy bacon or sausage or even a fried egg on top. It is a cozy stick to your ribs kind of meal.
Now our next recipe is cinnamon roll casserole. But not just any cinnamon roll casserole, it's an upgraded apple pie infused ooey gooey can't stop eating it version. Yeah, it's borderline dangerous because you're gonna get those soft cinnamon roll pieces along with the caramelized apples. This recipe starts with an apple pie filling layer. And you're just gonna spread this out like you're frosting a cake. Next, you're gonna need your can of cinnamon rolls. I don't know, y'all. Exploding biscuits is something that I'm always nervous about. Like, I still get tense just anticipating it. All right. Now take your cinnamon rolls and you're going to cut them into fourths. And you're just gonna create another layer over the apples. And here's a pro tip. The messier it looks, the better it tastes. That's just science. Now it's time for the glue that holds this masterpiece together, the egg custard. And you gotta think of this as the difference between cinnamon roll and cinnamon roll casserole, because it just soaks into all the crevices and makes everything pillowy and soft. A dash of cinnamon, whatever that means to you, splash of vanilla, a dollop of milk, then give it a good whisk. Now be sure to whisk this really well because nobody wants to bite into a random chunk of scrambled eggs inside of their cinnamon roll casserole. I mean, we all love eggs, but just not like that. Do you see this? Now this is what I call flavor distribution. So now we're gonna finish this with a drizzle of maple syrup because if we're gonna do this, we're going all in. Now here's another reason why you're gonna love this recipe, because at this point you could just cover it and refrigerate it overnight. Or just pop it in the oven at 375 for 20 to 25 minutes or until it smells like a bakery exploded in your house. And now you've got to add your icing drizzle because it's what seals the deal. Now, is this not what breakfast dreams are made of? So I have not eaten this recipe in a really long time. And normally what I do is I will actually plop it on my plate upside down so that I'm like digging into the apples first. But oh my goodness, let's take that first bite. It's everything you think it is, right? Like it's the warm cinnamon rolls. It's the complimentary cinnamon sugar taste. Oh my goodness, y'all. This is so good. It is so good. It is easy. It's like when you need a fail safe, this is it. Like, how do you even stop eating this? Okay, so please tell me you're not buying French toast sticks at the store. Because if so, you're paying a 4 to 5 times markup on bread. Because that's all you're getting. Bread that has been dipped in egg yolk and sprinkled with cinnamon and sugar. And it's only 5 minutes of work. Let me show you. For more meal inspiration, click on the video on your screen. I'll see you in my kitchen or garden soon. Take care, friends.